Sports Personality Show on Atlantic Television Network. My name is Kingsley Manuel, and I'm very happy to be here once again to bring you another sports personality on today's edition of the show. And we're going to be talking about one man that have made headlines this week, and of course, his name is Erling Brot Haaland. Of course, he becomes the fastest player in Premier League history to reach 100 goals. Impeccable performance, of course, you will say. And that's why, of course, we'll dive into the life of Erling Brot Haaland today. A lot, of course, to unravel about the man. It promises to be another exciting edition of the show. I will take a break. When we return, we'll unravel all that you need to know revolving around Erling Brot Haaland. Stay with us. We'll be right back. You're welcome back. It's the Sports Personality Show on Atlantic Television Network. And of course, I will tell you we're very, very ready this morning to bring you another sports personality. Today, we told you we're talking about Erling Brot Haaland. He actually put up a very impressive performance this week, become the fastest player in the Premier League, of course, to reach 100 goals. That's, of course, really an impeccable performance, and that's why we're going to be taking a look at the life of Erling Brot Haaland. Joining me this morning, of course, to talk about Erling Brot Haaland is Emmanuel Michael. Mike, good morning to you, and welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me on the show this morning. Glad to be here.
All right, let's dash straight to the life of Erling Brot Haaland. Erling Brot Haaland, the son of a former professional footballer of Engel. Haaland is a Norwegian professional footballer who has rapidly emerged as one of the most devastating strikers in world football. Born on July 21, 2000 in Leeds, England, Haaland is renowned for his blistering pace, immense physical strength, intelligent movements, and an uncanny ability to find the back of the net. His meteoric rise from Norwegian youth football to superstar stardom in Europe has been marked by an insatiable hunger for goals and a collection of broken record. And still talking about his early life, Haaland began his footballing journey in his parents' native Norway, joining his hometown club Ben at a young age. He quickly stood out for his physicality and goal-scoring instincts, making his senior debut for Ben in 2016. Mike, what do you make of Haaland's, of course, early life? We understand even at a very young age, he was still very, very physical. But before that, taking a look at the fact that his dad was also, a footballer, you think that might, of course, possibly be the inspiration for Haaland in also becoming a very good striker he is today?
I think the background of Erling Brot Haaland actually have played a key and pivotal role in helping him to mold himself into a striker that many football admirers has come to fall in love with over the course of the years. Taking over what your father, in fact, to further shed more light on his background, you know that his father wasn't just a professional footballer alone, but the entire family as well were sports inclined. They were all athletes. The mother, Gray Harita, was also an athlete. She was very, very active on a professional level. Alright, Marita was a heptathlete for the Norwegian national team, and she reigned the supreme, won so many laurels for the country. The siblings as well were also sports inclined. So the father being a former professional footballer, the mother an active athlete in her days, represented Norway at the highest level. The siblings were all sports inclined. So take a look at such background and environment to where Erling Brot Haaland was raised up. You definitely know that it runs in their blood. It's more like a thread that runs within the circle or the lineage of the family, and it is no surprise that Erling Brot Haaland, told that line of sport. And if your father was a professional footballer, your father must have known the rudiments of what it takes to be at the highest level.
Yeah.
And at an early age, he starts impacting such ideas, such rudiments, such techniques into you as a young, upcoming footballer. That will definitely give you an edge over the rest of the kids who just love playing football. For you, your father has a target, and he will be priming you up to follow that direction, and you definitely become exceptional, more distinctive compared to your peers. So take a look at such environment to which Erling Brot Haaland came from, and you definitely know that yes, he truly, didn't just maneuver his way to the top or becoming one of the potent, fierce striker, dangerous, deadly. physically strong, technically sound, sprint-wise, he's up there. So if you combine the football IQ of the father, then add it up with the sprint ability of the mother, that finishes the job. And these are top qualities which Erling Braut Haaland has possessed. You take a look at his physiques alone.
Yeah.
He then complements the skills of the father and the athleticism of the mother. So combining this together with the natural physiques that he has built up, with the speed and the height, more like a match made in heaven for Erling Braut Haaland. But then hard work is another thing, of course, that has been added to part of his game, because he's one striker that doesn't just wait for the ball at the box. When the ball is not forthcoming, you see him dropping down deep, and the positioning is something fantastic. And that is why I talked about the influence of the father at the early stage, because as former professional, there is a way that a young kid, aspiring footballer, will position at that early age. You, being a former professional footballer, will tell that kid, no, do it this way. All right? Unlike some kid that doesn't have anybody to tell them what to do at that point. So this has been the difference for Erling Braut Haaland. And I think so. To answer your question straightforward, I think the background to which Erling Braut Haaland, originated from, contributed so much to his career, and that is why we've seen him being that player we are talking about today.
You also talked about him being different. All right. Take a look at his physicality. A lot of emphasis has really been paid on his physicality, and it didn't just start from maybe when he was at Mold or maybe Manchester City. We saw that physicality since when he was small. You think that has actually given Erling Haaland edge, especially even when, of course, he joined his home team, talking about being that was in 2016. You think that physicality has been a propeller for him in his career?
I think it's more like a combination of it, because if you just have the physicality, the physical shape up, and you don't really have the speed, you don't really have the body movement, you don't really have the technical ability, then you amount to nothing. All right. Sometimes if you take a look at the physicality of a sportsman and woman in different other sports, but then when you talk about football, they cannot really do much in terms of that. So physicality is one thing. Then building other attributes to make you an all-rounder as a footballer is key. So physicality is one thing, which is part of it. But then he's been able to build a holistic form of a personnel that want to be a footballer. Some time ago, we talked about Usain Bolt diving to the world of football. I think he thought maybe his physicality could make the difference, but it doesn't just work that way. So physicality, yes, it is an advantage only if you can add it with other ingredients that makes you a complete player. Then you can be talking of, yes, physicality key to Erling Braut Haaland. So for me, physicality is very, very vital, but that is not the only trait or ingredient that have made him the player that he is today. Like I pointed out earlier, that a combination of his physicality, technicality, speed, skills has made him an all-rounder. If you are just having the natural physiques without even knowing how to sprint, knowing how to position yourself, knowing how to control the ball, it will amount to nothing. So I think the both of all, all of these ingredients added together made him an all-rounder striker, and that is why presently I don't think we can mention about 3 strikers globally as we speak in the world of football without singling out that name, Erling Braut Haaland.
All right. In 2017, he moved to Mold, where he further developed under the guidance of the then manager Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. His prolific scoring for Mold attracted attention from across Europe. A lot of talks, we had a lot of talks around Ole Gunnar Solskjaer also aiding Erling Erling Brot Haaland, of course, career. What do you make of, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, how the role he played in Erling Brot Haaland's career?
For every upcoming, footballer or an athlete or a sportsman or woman, definitely must give kudos to all the coaches that you have passed through right from your teenage down to when you become a professional footballer, because all of these coaches actually played key roles, toward taking you to the next step of your career. But then I think the first person that should take the credit is the father. Then, because the father, being a footballer, knows all of this, and that is why you see players, especially the European players, they tend to possess this greatness at the early stage. Why? Because their father or their relation had done that professionally, so they have what it takes and they know the direction to which they want to tailor their kids to. All right, they will follow that step. Take a look at Kylian Mbappe presently. The father was a sportsman. The father understood administrative angle. The father was a coach. He understands all of this. So at the tender age of Kylian Mbappe, the father knows all of these things, and that is why he began to train and prime him up for the future. All right, but then if you take that back to Africa, sometimes Africa, football has just been made, global, attractive, and become conventional to the extent that African parents right now can even, spank your kids, go and play football. Then it was more like a crime. You dare not go to play football where they send you, or for whatever reason. You will be spanked. Why? Because then we don't take it serious. And at that point, while you are being spanked, the father of another kid of your mate out there in Europe or developed client, they are already, teeing up their kids for the future on that very profession. While we here, we are spanking our kids not to go do that. So all of this is a contributory factor. That is why I say that the father first must take the kudos, all right, because he played key role. What if the father have spanked Erling Brot Haaland at the early stage? Maybe the father wasn't football inclined. He doesn't know what sport is all about. Probably take a look at the physiques of that young, guy, and then he will say, "Oh yeah, go and play basketball," because it is assumed that if you are tall, you might just be good in football. So, but then moving on, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer also added, to his development process.
Haaland always make reference, to Ole.
Definitely. Ole brought the wealth of experience of what he has learned as a former professional, as a former footballer, and that is why I say that it is very easy for the kids out there in Europe to start early, at the early stage, to start learning the nuances of what they want to be in future. All right. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was a professional footballer, played under one of the best coaches as we speak presently in the history of football, which is Sir Alex Ferguson. And for it to have been under the tutelage of a man such as Sir Alex Ferguson, one of the greatest coaches as we speak in the world of football, not just in England right now, but then you were able to learn under such coach right from where you were a player down to when you become a coach. You pass through the ranks and file of Manchester United, one of the biggest clubs in the world. You must have been able to gather enough footballing sense. You must have been able to gather enough knowledge, and coupled with that, after you resign, or you retire rather, you went to the coaching schools to get one or two certificate and degree. Beyond the certificate, the process that you've passed through might have molded you to, of course, know when a player is about to make a mistake, and you tailor that player to correct him or her to go the right direction. So Ole Gunnar Solskjaer truly added, value to the career of Erling Brot Haaland at that young age at Molde out there in the Norwegian League. So I think these are people that played key roles to the success of Erling Brot Haaland.
And of course, Haaland moved to Austrian club Red Bull Salzburg in January 2019. marked the beginning of his sensational ascent, and he enjoyed a phenomenal spell, particularly in the UEFA Champions League, where he became the first teenager to score in 5 consecutive matches, netting 8 goals in the group stage of the 2019 and 2020 season. His explosive performances made him one of the most sought-after young talents in the world. And in January 2020, he joined the German Bundesliga giant Borussia Dortmund. Haaland continued his incredible goal-scoring form, becoming a central figure for Dortmund. He won the DFB Pokal with the club in 2021 and consistently finished as one of the Bundesliga top scorers, leaving an indelible mark with his powerful runs and clinical finishes. Impeccable performance, you would say, from Salzburg down to Dortmund.
Great display from the Norwegian, right from Salzburg, Red Bull, where he also distinguished himself, especially in the highest level of club football, which is the UEFA Champions League. All right, that so many players are dreaming to play in. At that young age, he was still able to make a mark in the UEFA Champions League, and that is to tell you the potentials he had then. It wasn't just a potential, but an exercising potential, because he was delivering on a pitch of play, because there are also innate potentials that might just be in you, but cannot find through expression on the outward. But then he has this exercising potential, because such potential was having expression on the pitch of a player, and that made him so, sought after by some clubs, especially for the top clubs out there. And at the end of it all, he ended at the German Bundesliga at Borussia Dortmund, where he also played under one of the best coach, and he did his best by, of course, breaking some personal records out there in the German Bundesliga as well, winning several, Player of the Month award, winning the Rookies award, Best Goal award, and so many, of individual titles out there, and even was contested as one of the, highest goal scorer at that point. So I think all of these were just a process to leading him to
stardom,
to where he is today, because before you could, as a player, get that breakthrough, especially for top clubs in Europe, you must have been able to prove yourself beyond reasonable doubt that a big club will want to invest hugely on you, because we've seen clubs spending huge on players, especially at their early stage, and then the players end up not living up to that, to the full potentials. So you must, as a player, have been able to show consistency before a club would take you serious, especially for big clubs at your early stage. It is these days that we go through the hurdles of going through the academy, right from the grassroots stage. You pamper such player, you keep a close eye on such player to see the development process of such player. But then there are certain clubs that doesn't really care about such a process, that they just want to get an already made. This player has already been established, therefore we go for such an already established player. But there are clubs that pay details attention to the development process of an upcoming player, right from the grassroots up to when they get to 15, 16 years. You can see such clubs being so patient, because they know the innate potential that is in this player. They will repose that trust and confidence in that player and continue monitoring you until you fully blossom to that potential which they saw in you. And Erling Haaland is one of that player, because every coach that he has played under always spot out one thing spectacular about Erling Haaland, which is his ability to score goals, his desire, his hunger to fight, to win games. All right, even when his team are down, bring him on. He will definitely make the difference, and this is what coaches want to see. All right, so I think Erling Haaland, maintained that consistency, and that is why he gained the trust, of the coach then at Dortmund, and before even other big clubs came jostling for his signature before he eventually moved to where he is today.
Talking about his ability to score goals, a lot of persons earlier on talked about the fact that he's not that kind of a hustling striker. He waits for the ball position just like he normally does and try to get the goals. What do you make of that quality of Erling Braut Haaland, or maybe that style of play? He doesn't really, you don't really see him making much dribbles. You don't really see him coming back maybe to hustle for games or for ball. He just waits and positioned very well, and then the ball comes to him, and then he send the ball into the back of the net. What do you make of that style of play from him?
You see, every great strikers in the world of football is known for one thing: positioning. That is the only key thing as a striker, positioning inside the 18-yard box. It doesn't matter whether you track back to mark the ball. Of course, football has its own rules, and that is why before a match kicks off, you see lineups, you see formation in football. Certainly, you will see defenders, midfielders, wingers, striker. They have their own unique duties, all right, that you say, okay, you rarely see a defender leaving the back four to go jostle on how to score goal every moment of the game up front. No. That is not to say that when the chance presents itself, a defender cannot leave his defensive duty to come and look for goals. That is not to say that a defender cannot leave the back to come cross ball when the need arises, because if you are playing for a team that is attacking, that is always on the move, mobile, locomotive, you are not expected to be static as a defender to say, I'm a defender, therefore let me stay back. No. So the threat of every striker is first positioning. And especially playing for teams that have creativity. You don't really need much to start tracking back, because the people that are going to get you the ball are there. They are creative enough. Your own duty, just position yourself. Let me take you back to the days of Filippo Inzaghi. They call him the offside man then at AC Milan. You rarely see him in a game where the camera will now continue to flash or beam the torchlights or watch lights on his face like they normally do these days when a striker is up front. Sometimes you see the cameraman try to zoom and picture such striker to show that, okay, this is the key man in every game. During the days of Filippo Inzaghi for AC Milan, you hardly see him in a game often and on running from left to right or center. There is one thing that was also known about him: his cameo and clinical positioning and clinical finishes. Sometimes you will score those goals, they will say, the viewers will say, this is an offside goal, this was an offside. But no, the center ref will never make it an offside. It's not one, it's not two, it is not three, it is uncountable. And that is why the nickname came, the offside man, Filippo Inzaghi. But then, a professional referee that knows what he was doing would never rule it for an offside. Why? Because he knows positioning. He doesn't work that much, but then just give him the ball. You know where to position. He scored the goals. He was banging goals for AC Milan.
If it was in this area where we have VAR, you think those goals would have been counted?
The VAR was or is originated by man. All right? The VAR does not have a technological sense on its own to make decisions. It is man that the VAR is the invention of man. So the VAR these days is the invention, is the craft ideology of what man thought outside of his brain that led to that VAR. Now, we have the manual VAR then, which were the landsmen. All right, there are linesmen within every angle of the play. Is it the left and the right side of the linesman before the center referee. So they were more like the VAR when the automated VAR wasn't in place. Because before a center ref gives a decision that looks very controversial, it's either a goal and offside, he will then consult his VAR, his manual VAR,
Which are the linesmen.
which are the linesmen. All right, so
but this modern day VAR has more sights than these linesmen. You could see the offside technology as well, which rules the lines, the goal line technology, all of those things has now made football not to be the way it used to be before. Some of decisions they made before, this era, you hardly see those decisions being counted, or something.
It's a discussion for another day, but then you could also, before we leave that discussion, it's very, very key we also focus on it. Before we leave that very angle, also remember that during the course of the years when VR were not in place in football, will you say that football is more exciting now or then? The truth is that the too much input of technological accessories in football has made football to, gradually begin to lose that flavor, that natural flavor that we had then. But then, these days, the VAR, which is the invention of man, has made it to look more as though it is 100%, accurate, whereas it is the invention of man. So it depends on the angle that you want to look at it. But then, the point I was trying to make was that there are strikers that just know how to position themselves. They don't necessarily need to start jostling or hustling for ball before they can score goal. And Erling Braut Haaland falls within that, axis of strikers that understand what positioning is. All right? And that is why some have said, oh, he doesn't dribble a lot. What were you bought to do as a striker? Were you bought to dribble? Were you bought to go back to start marking? No, you were bought as a striker, and that is why we have wings in football. The midfield, the defender, the strikers, you must know your job, all right? That you are a sport presenter doesn't make you not to have the sense or the knowledge of how to probably cast a news, all right? Say, okay, because this guy doesn't cast news, he's not a journalist. You don't say that, all right, because the job are segmented, all right? That is not to say that you cannot fix or fit into the aspect of casting news, all right? But because the job is segmented, you must focus on your own core areas, all right, which is being a sport journalist. The ideology I'm trying to lay here is that in the pitch of play, football have its own, way where it is structured. That a striker does not necessarily need to come and start jostling for the ball just to make people or viewers call him a hard-working striker. No. After hard working without scoring the goals, the coach will keep you on the bench and bring a striker that does not hustle for the ball but score goals. So this is what it is. So Erling Haaland fit into that perfect striker of a complete striker, whether you call him whatever name that he doesn't hustle for the ball, but then he's banging the goals. And you can't mention top strikers in the world without also mentioning the name Erling Braut Haaland.
All right, at this point, we'll take a break. When we'll return from the break, of course, we'll talk about Erling Braut Haaland. And of course, I'll talk about his current team, talking about Manchester City. It promises to be another exciting conversation right here about Erling Braut Haaland at Manchester City. Stay with us. We'll be right back. You're welcome back. It's the Sports Personality Show on Atlantic Television Network. Of course, we've been talking about Erling Braut Haaland, the fastest player in the Premier League, of course, to reach 100 goals. A very impeccable performance. And we told you we'll be talking about, his current team, Manchester City. Now, in the summer of 2022, Erling Braut Haaland made a highly anticipated move to Manchester City, where he immediately shattered numerous Premier League records. In his debut 2022 and 2023 season, he scored an unprecedented 36 goals in a single Premier League campaign, helping City secure a historic treble of the Premier League, FA Cup, and UEFA Champions League. His goal-scoring feat continued into the 2023 and 2024 season, where he again secured the Premier League Golden Boot, and City lifted another Premier League title. In the 2024 and 2025 season, Haaland maintained his status as one of the world's most feared strikers. He finished the Premier League season with 22 goals in 31 appearances, once again among the league top scorers. While Manchester City did not secure the Premier League title or the FA Cup in this season, Haaland did play a key role in City's winning the Community Shield in August 2024, and this marks City's first trophyless major domestic season since Pep Guardiola's first year in charge. Mike, what do you make of it? Haaland, Manchester City actually look like, where a lot of persons actually knew his potential, actually knew, of course, what he can bring, to the table. Will you say, Manchester City, of course, Manchester City is the club that really made Erling Braut Haaland who he is and what he has really achieved today? Because a lot of persons have the opinion that if not Manchester City, maybe Erling Braut Haaland wouldn't have achieved what he has achieved today. He came into Manchester City and Pep Guardiola built the team to his favor. That's the opinion of so many. So, Manchester City, you think, really gave Erling Braut Haaland what he has really achieved today?
I think Manchester City played a part. I won't really say that Manchester City...
If you have gone to any other team, would they have achieved what he has achieved today?
If it had gone to Real Madrid, maybe, just maybe, he would have even surpassed what he has achieved today, because a player could just make a difference in a team. All right. Manchester City, they sought for the UEFA Champions League all the days of their, establishment, and it never came to fruition. All right. Even Manuel Pellegrini, that came to more like try to revive the pattern of play when the Qatarian money bars came in, he could not even do it. Pep Guardiola, one of the most, great coaches that we've seen in the history of the football. We saw what he did with Real Madrid, Barcelona during the 2009 to 2000, season. He went to Bayern Munich. He did pretty well as well before coming down to Manchester City. Despite his feared resume and philosophy of, football, many thought maybe him coming to Manchester City, where there is already the money there, is going to shatter all record and win everything possible in England. But then, his first season at Manchester City, nothing in our local parlance, we say nothing come out. Yeah. Nothing come out in his first season. Yet, this is a team that we've been looking for, a way to win UEFA Champions League. Then you could also remember that Erling Braut Haaland was not in that squad. Then again, the next season, Manchester City tried their best in the UEFA Champions League, but were knocked out by Real Madrid, especially in a very sensitive stage at the semi-final. But there's one thing that Pep Guardiola, made very clear to the press. He said that they are going closer, they are coming closer to winning the league. There is just only one, missing link in his team, which he knows what to do, and he's going to correct it. He made that assurance the next time they brought in Erling Braut Haaland. You know why Pep Guardiola find it difficult to win the the UEFA Champions League? He noticed that if you don't have a potent striker such as Erling Braut Haaland, it could be very difficult for you to win the UEFA Champions League. Because Pep Guardiola set up his pattern of play in a way and manner that it doesn't really require a center forward. He plays what we call the shadow striker, more like using a midfielder in the place of a striker. He don't really have a center forward. But then he discovered that tactics is not going to win him, the UEFA Champions League or the laurels. Why? Because not too many players are so perfect, just like Lionel Messi was during his time at Barca that led him to win the treble and UEFA Champions League. He tried same pattern at Bayern Munich. It did not work because he did not win the UEFA Champions League. Yeah. He was just dominating the league there, which has been normal. It is conventional for Bayern Munich to win the league there. All right, he came to Manchester City, used the same pattern, playing the four strikers role, using a midfielder more like a four striker, and he was winning one or two laurels, but then the major trophy, which is the Champions League, and he said, you know what to do, and he went on to bring Erling Braut Haaland. Erling Braut Haaland came, and he changed the narrative. They won the UEFA Champions League, and that is why I say that just one player could make the difference in an entire team. And that is why I say that if he had gone to Real Madrid, maybe his presence as Real Madrid would have helped Madrid to win the UEFA Champions League maybe 3 or 4 times even before now. So I think Manchester City played key roles. And that is not to say that Manchester City were the platform to which he has become who he is. He was already having a great destiny ahead of him, from Molde down to Red Bull Salzburg, down to Borussia Dortmund. Borussia Dortmund at that time, we could also record, they were the only team that were giving Bayern Munich a serious run for their money. The Bayern Leverkusen that we are talking is just of yesterday. It was between Borussia Dortmund and Bayern Munich, and then Dortmund was very feared. They get you in the UEFA Champions League, they beat you like 4 or 5 goals. All right? You saw when Robert Lewandowski was there, when they catch big team. In fact, they will catch Barca and beat Barca like 4 goals to nothing, and Lewandowski will be at the top of it all. So I think Erling Braut Haaland, right from ab initio finito, has paid his dues and truly built that respect for himself as a striker. So yes, Manchester City, they've been very instrumental in giving him the trophy, but that is not to say that Manchester City is a club that actually built Erling Braut Haaland to get to where he is. He was already established a striker before they bought him.
Established?
Yes. He was scoring goals for fun for Dortmund. Dortmund is one of the top 5 leagues in Europe. All right? He has already proven his worth in the UEFA Champions League, even at Red Bull Salzburg. That is why a big team such as Dortmund will go for him. He was already an established striker. Take a look at the number of goals that he had scored for Red Bull Salzburg. No, date back from Molde. The number of goals he scored there. Take a look at the stats of number of goals he scored at Red Bull Salzburg. Take a number of goals that he scored at Borussia Dortmund. Erling Braut Haaland was already established striker even before Manchester City bought him.
So City didn't make him who he is today.
No.
And that he made City what they are today.
Of course, he was very instrumental to helping City become who they are today, because Pep Guardiola even testified to that he know what to do to win the Champions League, which is getting a striker. And immediately he got a striker. Lo and behold, Manchester City won the Champions League. So Erling Braut Haaland is or was and still a contributory factor to taking Manchester City to where they are today. So I will not say it is Manchester City that made Erling Haaland. Rather, Erling Haaland contributed to the progress of Manchester City of today.
All right, so since talking about Erling Braut Haaland, he became the fastest player to join the Premier League 100 goals club with his 17th minute strike in Manchester City's wide 5-4 win over Fulham this week. Haaland broke Alan Shearer's long-standing record, scoring his 100th Premier League goal in just his 111 appearance. Shearer sets the record in 1995 in his 124th match. Haaland still has a way to go to break the Premier League ultimate goal-scoring record, though Shearer is still the league's career top scorer with 260 goals, which he hit during a stint with Blackburn and Newcastle between 1992 and 2006. Impressive feats. Fastest Premier League player, of course, to reach 100 goals. What do you make of the feats? And do you see him, of course, outclassing or breaking that record of the highest goal scorer in the Premier League? Talking about Alan Shearer, 260 goals. Can Haaland achieve that?
I think we just wait and see. He still has age on his side, but then for now, it's not even among the top 10 all-time top scorer in the English Premier League. So he still has a long way to go in catching up with Alan Shearer, possibly breaking that record of Alan Shearer, the Magpies great, because 260 goals is massive. You talk about the likes of Harry Kane, 200 and about 13 goals for Tottenham, Wayne Rooney, about 200 and something goals. You talk about other, like Mo Salah, who is on 190 goals. So he still has a long way to go, because he have even others like Robbie Fowler. Still ahead of him. Frank Lampard is still ahead of him. So I think he has a long way to go to hitting up this mark, But then from, what we are looking at, the way he's going, if he stays injury-free for the next 8 years, 10 years, maybe, just maybe, he might just be able to, head into the league of the players that have scored, more goals than others in the English Premier League history. But for now, he's still on that journey.
Let's take a look at his international career, as Haaland has been a prominent figure for the Norway national team since his senior debut in 2019. He quickly became his country's main attacking threat and has consistently found the net on the international stage. As of June 2025, he has become Norway's all-time top scorer with 42 goals in just 43 appearances, a testament to his incredible prolificacy. Despite his individual brilliance, he continues to strive to lead Norway to their first major tournament appearance in over 2 decades. Impressive one, top scorer, of course, for Norway, but the opinion of many is the fact that Haaland might not be able to achieve something huge with Norway, looking at their strength and all of that. Do you see Haaland achieving a major trophy with Norway?
I think we just wait and see. Football sometimes could be very cruel, and that you might be a very big star, but if you're finding yourself within a team or a league where you don't have other players that can be able to complement your effort, then it becomes very difficult for you to achieve certain personal targets. We saw the former Sweden striker, talking about Ibrahimovic. He was so fantastic scoring goals for fun, but then for the Sweden national team, he could not really carry the team that far in major competitions. This has been the case, but then for Erling Haaland, let's see what he brings to the table.
Can he win the Ballon d'Or?
Yes, definitely, potentially. He has what it takes to do that, especially where the Ballon d'Or is not judged with the criteria of your national team performance alone, but that of club side as well. So I think he has the potentials to win the Ballon d'Or.
All right, so let's see how it goes, of course, for the man Erling Braut Haaland. We look forward to see what the future holds for him. But let's take a look at, of course, his net worth. I understand that Haaland, who already boasts a reported net worth of around £58 million, will significantly increase his bank balance by at least another £273 million if he fulfills his contract at the Etihad Stadium until 2034. A very long time, Mike. Do you see Haaland staying at City till 2034? That's him committing most of his career down there at Manchester City.
Football is pretty dynamic. It is it's evolving. Sometimes a player could be so comfortable with a club at a particular point in time, owing to the management and the structure, owing to the coach as well. But sometimes you see players beginning to renege on their previous agreement with a club. Why? Because a coach left, and the coach probably was in tandem with the player, and the player was also in tandem with the philosophy of such coach. But when that coach departs, another coach comes in, sometimes the new coach philosophy might not align properly with that of that player, and it becomes a problem. Sometimes a new coach comes and tries to bring his own philosophy, overhaul the team, sell some of the players, or even start benching some of the key players to bring the players of his own choice, and that cause friction. And a player that had already committed his future, a long-term future to the club, will start thinking of reneging on that agreement. Why? Because you can't be sitting on a bench while you have 6 years contract, and you think that you'll be comfortable as a player while you are also very young, hoping to win the Ballon d'Or, hoping to score goals, hoping to be part of your national team's activities. But if you are sitting on a bench, your national team coach wouldn't want to call you. All right, why? Because you are warming the bench. You will not be, it is assumed that you will not be match fit. All right, so I think let's see how it goes. Pep Guardiola, I'm not sure that he's going to stay at Manchester City till next year, till the contract of Haaland expires. A new coach might come, bringing a new idea, and maybe we'll just wait and see.
We'll wait and see what the future holds for Erling Braut Haaland at Manchester City. It's been an incredible one this morning, of course, and a very exciting conversation about Erling Braut Haaland, fastest Premier League player, of course, to reach 100 goals, impeccable feats. You say special thanks to Mike, of course, for giving us more insights about the life or for Erling Braut Haaland. Sports personality will come your way next week. Saturday. Do to join us, as it promises to be another bomber package right here on Atlantic Television Network. You can go down to our different social media handle, Facebook, X, Instagram, and YouTube. The conversation, of course, continues right there. My name is Kingsley Manuel. Thanks for watching.